Well, it looks like Trump has commuted the sentence of Roger Stone. Now, I don't find this all too surprising. I don't think anyone really finds it that surprising, considering that Roger Stone, in this case, didn't really do anything wrong, and it was pretty clear that they just wanted to get some scalps for the Trump-Russia investigation, since nothing really came of all that. It really is remarkable when you look back at the whole Russia hoax thing. Just how much hype there was behind that. And early on, I looked at it seriously and I thought, wow, is this a serious, real issue? And, pretty quickly it became obvious that it was just partisan screeching. I gave it some credence early on, and I mean very early on, like before the election even, or like soon after, like in the year 2016, because I saw some, Republicans actually talking about it who seemed at the time, like serious people. Of course, it became clear that they were just going after the resistance grift, and pretty soon, the whole Never Trump resistance folks, that became a whole subclass of the media. But somebody, looking back, who now looks like a total, the total fraud that he is, and a ridiculous person like John Schindler, had some credibility early on because he had been railing so hard against Hillary and all the stuff that, she had done, and, how, whatever, violating national security and stuff like that. And even though I didn't really care about all that stuff necessarily, it seemed to me like it offered some credibility to the idea if somebody who was so, anti-Hillary all of a sudden started saying, oh, this stuff is so bad about Trump. But, as the evidence came out, and it was clear that all of this was just BS that was made up, that didn't really go anywhere, none of these people backtracked. None of them said, let's rethink this Russia stuff. They just kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down, and eventually they said, well, let's at least try and throw Roger Stone in jail, just so we can save face, so we can say, well, Roger Stone, he was the connection between Trump and WikiLeaks, and that may have been the case, although from what I understand from actual serious journalists like Aaron Mattei, who have reported on this extensively, apparently the court or the prosecutors never even asserted that, and they didn't have any evidence, and they didn't try and make it seem like Roger Stone was this go-between, for WikiLeaks and Trump. And that's why they ended up convicting him just on, procedural crimes, lying to Congress and stuff like that. It was precisely because they couldn't get him on the stuff that, people are actually accusing him of in the media. And so, but of course, the facts don't matter, just like with all this stuff. In the state that America's in right now, people are going to take away from this whatever they want. What Trump just did confirms the bias of just about everyone in this country. The Trump supporters feel, I guess, validated because they see, the president's pardoning this guy because he was tried and, wrongly convicted during this witch hunt. So he doesn't deserve to go to jail, and so see Trump pardoning or commuting him is, adds to that, the case for that. Trump is agreeing with the people who said that, Roger Stone very unfairly treated. And then on the other hand, you have the resistance folks, you have the, the boomer Dems. You have all of these, sort of low IQ kind of voters on the left, just like you have low IQ people on the right, who eat this up, and they say, look, this proves that Trump is trying to cover up the crime of the century. His accomplice took the fall for him, he's going to jail, and Trump just let him out. And so, this commutation doesn't really change anything as far as the general public's concerned. It only really changes things as far as Roger Stone's concerned. And like I've said in the past, Roger Stone, not a great guy. He's probably done plenty of things that were illegal in his day and things that were wrong. But this was not one of them. He does not deserve to go to jail for this, of all things. And so I'm happy for him personally. He gets to stay home. I think he lives in Lauderdale. Pretty much one of the, bluest places in all of Florida. So I bet he gets a lot of crap when he goes out in public, but hey, at least he's free. At least he can go out in public now. Regarding the election, though, I think it's interesting, we have this happening in an election year. I mean, if I were Trump, I guess I think I would have, just to be safe, pardoned Stone a long time ago. But Stone is saying that, and who knows, maybe this is Stone's spin, but Stone is saying that he never wanted a pardon. Stone wants to fight this to the end. He's very happy that Trump commuted a sentence so he doesn't have to go to jail. But Stone wants to make sure that in court he's completely exonerated. He does not want to be pardoned because you can't, because he says, I don't want to be pardoned for a crime I didn't commit, is basically it. A pardon, it implies guilt. And I understand that mentality, even though if I were in Stone's position, I would not be there at all. But Stone's a very aggressive guy. It's like poking a bear. Stone does not like to be screwed around with like this. And, it's going to take many years, though, for Stone to try and get any real justice as far as this is concerned and try and have his conviction overturned. And he's an old man, and who knows, Trump, if he loses this November, Trump will not be even in office when all this gets settled. And it's not like this makes for a very good campaign issue. I don't think that Trump stands much to gain politically by pardoning or commuting the sentence of Roger Stone. I think that he only really has personal satisfaction and sympathy as motivation to do it, and also I guess you could say, well, his base would enjoy it, and it is like throwing a bone to the base, which is true. But as far as ordinary people is concerned, or most people, I should say, they're either not going to care or, go into a frenzy over it. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Trump just likes to completely enrage the other side. But of course, as far as the stability of the United States, this doesn't do much to alleviate the tension over people who view Trump as completely illegitimate. The people who on the left who want to overthrow the government for their own reasons. And who knows, this move might radicalize some marginal individuals who were just sort of barely still hanging on to faith in the system. Seeing this might red pill some people, but in a left-wing way, which is kind of strange to think about a left-wing red pill. But this might inspire them or motivate them to completely oppose our system of government. They're going to look at this and say this is what they do in third world dictatorships. That's what they've been saying about Trump all along. You can see from their perspective how that's a fair point, even though it looks deranged from my perspective or somebody else's perspective. That's why I don't see any chance of reconciling these people in America who just see the world through such different lenses. It's just another example on how the idea that the media touts sometimes that, like, oh my God, Trump isn't trying to unify America, isn't he terrible? It's such a fool's errand to think about unifying America. That's what losers like Mitt Romney and George Bush try to do. And where did it get them? It got them not universal adoration like they wanted. They got universal disdain. Nobody likes Mitt Romney or George W. Bush, whether they're on the left or the right. You could say, oh, well, but the left praises Romney all the time. And it's like, well, yes, but not in a way that they'd ever actually vote for him. They'd say, like, oh, as far as our mortal enemies go, you're pretty good. But Mitt's actual side, has nothing but disdain for him. And so when you act like that, you have no constituency. You appeal to no one. Nobody feels like you're their guy. And that's where Trump goes right. Trump does not try very much to appeal to these people, to appeal to the mob. And that's what his supporters like about him. It's specifically that he's not trying to bow down to a savage left-wing mob. Moves like this inspire confidence, I think. And that is why I'm happy to see Roger Stone's sentence commuted. With that said, if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.